The regular monthly board meeting of the Amherst Area School Board of Directors on Wednesday, August 17, 2016 is now called to order. Flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public videotaping. The purpose of videotaping a meeting is for public information. The opinions expressed by any member of the public do not necessarily reflect the view or the opinion of the Amherst Area School District Board of School Directors and are solely that of the speaker. The Amherst Area School District Board of Directors hereby expressly disclaims any and all responsibility or liability for any false, defamatory, or slanderous statements expressed by the speaker. Any unauthorized rebroadcasting, any video, audio, or still image of the video recording of the meeting is strictly forbidden without the written permission of the Amherst Area School District Board of School Directors. Roll call, please.
Mr. Angus?
Here.
Mrs. Fisher?
Here.
Mr. Keeber?
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Here.
Mr. Kowal?
Here.
Mrs. Locker?
Here.
Mrs. Mylan?
Here.
Mr. Sass?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
All non-board members are present.
Sunshine Law.
Section 708 of the Sunshine Law permits agencies to hold executive sessions to discuss employment and personnel matters, labor relations and arbitration matters, purchase or lease of real estate up to the time an option or agreement is obtained, litigation or potential litigation, and other agency business which, if discussed in public, will violate lawful privilege or will violate confidentiality laws. The Board of School Directors held an executive session on Wednesday, August 10, 2016 to discuss 1. Employment and personnel matters, 2. Salary schedule and labor relations.
Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Motion to accept or correct the minutes of July 13th being discussed in July 20th board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to accept Treasurer's Report dated July 2016.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Presentation now. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have Lori put the screen down.
Hold on for 1 minute. Any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. Under personnel, we have 2 items to add. We need to add item number 18. It is recommended to approve the settlement agreement and release between the Amherst Area School District and Jessica Bromwich as presented. And item number 19, it is recommended to approve the athletic director, Brian Miller, to serve as a coach for any team as needed, and it is recommended to authorize Brian to appoint any volunteer coaches with proper clearances as needed. That's all I have.
Mr. President, I do have one under Buildings and Grounds, so this will be number 1. It is recommended to approve C.W. Smith Contracting Incorporated to repair the front entrance and paint the economy entrance canopy at a cost of $18,125 as presented.
And Mr. President, I would like to make a motion under Finance and Budget to provide $100 to each teacher for educational supplies that would be used in the classroom for the 2016-2017 school year.
Mr. President, under Finance and Budget, item number 16, since that would be 15, to amend, it is recommended to approve adjustments for forgiveness and refund of certain parcels in Baden Borough. As presented, the solicitor is authorized to take all necessary steps.
That's right. Ms. Mylan, may I just speak with you briefly, just for a second? Now, we don't have to stop the meeting. I just wanted to talk with you. Just
Sure.
Jim, could you repeat that again?
Pardon?
Can you repeat what you just said?
Assuming Mrs. Mylands is accepted as 15, number 16 is it's recommended to approve adjustments for forgiveness and refund of certain parcels in Baden Borough as presented. The solicitor is authorized to take all necessary steps.
Okay.
I am going to make a motion to amend my motion, which would be number 15, and that is to provide $100 to each teacher for educational supplies used in the classroom for the 2016-2017 school year, subject to the agreement between the teachers union and the district.
And all of the board members who added items to the agenda, may I have copies of those following the meeting so that I can accurately incorporate them into the final agenda?
Can I have a motion to accept the amendments?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, Barry. Presentation from Barry King.
Yeah, she's going to put the screen down.
Did you want to come down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay up here.
I'm going to update the school board of directors and the public on some of the curricular initiatives that our teachers and administration have been working on over the summer and also previous years. The first thing that we did is that we created academic behavior coach positions. These positions are serving many of the functions that a guidance counselor would serve. They're going to serve as instructional leaders for our intervention periods, which is our multi-tier system of support periods. They're also going to be responsible for analyzing benchmark data, which is our Ames web data, so we can have flexible or create flexible grouping for our intervention periods. So students, the groups are always flexible and students always move between groups based upon need. Planning meetings occurred with the principals and academic behavior coaches on July 27th, 2016. The team decided that creating a simple lesson plan template for elementary and junior high teachers to implement during daily lesson activities would be essential to improving standardized test scores. And we also created curriculum calendars in the subjects of mathematics and ELA that are aligned to PA core standards. The curriculum plan was to identify the PA core standards that need to be taught and then at the time that it was needed to be taught. Curriculum development teams created daily and weekly lesson plans that were aligned to the PA core standards. These plans will be distributed to all grade levels and subject area teachers in ELA and mathematics. I couldn't put the standards on one page because this is actually a first grade ELA lesson, and you can see the amount of material that's covered. There was actually 35 PA core standards covered in one lesson, as you can see, it's a lot different than when I was in first grade, and that is one day's lesson. That's one day's work for our students. For our multi-tier system of supports, we're going to create a MTSS decision tree. We are in the process of establishing dates to view statistically proven intervention curriculum, and I believe I talked about this last meeting about canned curriculum for students in different tiers. We have to create a teaching and learning process that is educationally effective and easy for teachers to use, and also student-friendly. And student tiers will address interventions must be flexible and always tailored to meet student needs. This is actually an example of Pittsburgh City's decision tree, and they actually use Dibbles and we use AimsWeb. So when a student's benchmarked at the beginning of the year, as you can see that at the top, it actually says nonsense word fluency. If they get a certain score on that, they're in tier 3, and then if they get another score, they're in the tier 2 intervention, and it actually lists the canned curriculum. It's read naturally, and then in tier 1, it has different options for a tier 1 student. Today we met with our elementary STEAM teachers. We discussed, or we met with the high school and junior high technology education department for the purpose of lesson planning and design. The elementary STEAM teachers attended the STEAM Institute at South Fayette School District on June 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. The period will meet once a week, just like our other specials do. And what the teachers decided to do is each 9 weeks we'll have a capstone project. They'll have one major STEAM project per 9 weeks, which is kind of in line with the state's new project-based assessment initiative. And there will be one STEAM project for each grade level K to 6. This year for these classes, we have bought 30 laptops, 30 iPads, and other course specific instructional materials at a cost of $68,670.70. Someone asked that last meeting. And that's out of the Ready to Learn grant that was awarded by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Other current initiatives that we're working on, it's continued development, implementation of elementary positive behavior support. I just talked to Mrs. Mawhinney. We're going to try to schedule with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math teachers next week for standards aligned curriculum in mathematics because of the way that it was pushed down several years ago. We want to correct a couple mistakes. And then we want to finalize the Ambridge Area School District's approved novel list, which we worked on last year, and also the implementation of the Tyler Student Information System. Any questions for me?
I have some questions. Thank you very much, Mr.
you're
King,
welcome.
for your presentation and pulling all of this together. I really appreciate it. I know this year with the academic coaches, we have one at each of the elementary schools, one at the junior high. My understanding too, and I'm not sure if any of the high school principals are here, but my understanding is that we have a very large 9th grade incoming class.
Yeah, that's true.
So is there any concern with academic coach positions for the high school, or how will that be supplemented at the high school level?
Right now at the high school, there's 2 guidance counselors and a half-time social worker. One of the ideas that we were floating around earlier this summer was to take a social worker, and if you hired one social worker, Highland would have its own and the high school would have its own. That would be one solution, but the elementary schools, they do not have guidance counselors, and they're serving the role for that need.
Have we done an assessment? I'd be curious, so that as the year progresses, especially with the principals and yourself and Dr. D'Ampirio, to assess whether that's adequate, because we are getting a larger influx of students. So I think that's something we really need to monitor and certainly bring that up, because the guidance counselors should be providing guidance, and if they're being pulled to do some other things, then we're losing valuable resources.
And they are. I mean, like, you know, it's busy, very busy in there.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of other questions. I'm actually familiar with the MTSS decision tree. I do curriculum design also. How long has the Ambridge Area School District been using this model?
Last year was the first year.
And how did it work?
You mean like as far in the different schools or individual schools or?
Yeah, I mean, did you feel that it was successful? Is it a good model? Are things going well with it? Obviously, we're doing it again.
What I want to do is I want to add, right now we're using diagnostic data that basically tells if a student has fluency and can read or not. I want to add performance data to drive actual PSA performance data. Now, when we get our final data in, which I'll be sharing probably in a couple weeks, you know, we'll see if it actually worked. But see, a lot of the students are measured by growth and not just performance, and it's hard to see right now, you know, what the growth is. You know, we're just getting scores. We don't know their actual PBOS data yet.
And are we actually, so because it is evidence-based, as you're saying, instruction, and it is multi-tiered, how are we accommodating the students specifically at Tier 2 and Tier 3, where we need to provide some micro-level skilled assessment? Is that being done right now, and how's that going? Is it effective?
Currently, the Ames Web data, I believe from the year before, I did an analysis on it this year, it was about the same. The performance level on the Ames Web data was about the same. But what I want to do is start measuring more of the performance data, and because that's what's going to bring your test scores up, I believe. I mean, that's what in my gut, I believe.
Yeah, and I think that's critical. Obviously, we all know that the test scores need to go up, so that monitoring and accountability is one of the things. Are you looking at monitoring it and reshifting tiers if necessary throughout the year? And is there any scheduled plan right now for how to handle that throughout the year?
Well, you'll have 3 benchmark tests throughout the year. But the students in the at-risk group, they get tested more frequently, and then they move up groups. Now, let's say a student moves from Tier 3 to Tier 2 or Tier 2 to Tier 1,
right,
that student should be showing growth, so they're going to have good scores.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I know for me the big thing is we want to look for the gaps in learning, and accountability and measurement is what's going to be critical for us moving forward. So thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Just like to take a moment to thank Barry and all the staff members. I can't tell you how hard everybody has been working these past few months in trying to bring the school district academic program together and really renew our efforts to make a difference, a challenging difference in the 2016-17 school year. And I know Barry worked very hard to put this presentation together to kind of showcase what it is we're doing and what it is we plan to do. So thank you, Barry, and thank all the staff members who participated.
This brings us to the public comment. At this time, anyone from the audience may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can only speak once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. There will be no discussion during this time, but any board member or administrator desiring to address any questions or concerns may do so at the conclusion of the committee reports. There will still be an opportunity for the audience to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old or new business at the end of the meeting. Does anyone want to come forward? State your name and where you're from.
Yes, my name is Robin Walsh. I am from Moon Township. I spoke with you last week in regards to the Performing Arts Academy. I came back with some more people and some more data for you. Again, I will say it breaks my heart if you drop this program. I don't think this district realizes what a diamond in the rough they have with this. I know Ken is not here tonight because he is meeting with some state representatives. He called me right before the meeting started to tell me that the number of people he was dealing with that are interested in this program is incredible. But the main issue being, school districts are not going to send a child, approve to send a child to another school district when, in our case, Moon, a week and a half out from school starting, we find out, oh, look, we have to jump through hoops because Ambridge is going to say no. I've been told from some other people that emailed the school board members that it is a numbers issue. I will repeat what I said last week. I am also in business, and I get that. Have any of you started a business and expected it to be an incredible success in just a couple of years? I don't think so. It takes time. I was told the magic number is 10. We have 5 students in the high school enrolled in this program right now. 3 of them are bringing money to you because they're coming from other districts. 2 are from Moon, the district is paying. 1 girl's parents are paying themselves. We have, from what I've been told, 3 students from Ambridge Middle School or Junior High, I'm sorry, I don't know what you call it in this district, that were also enrolled in the program. That brings our numbers up. I was told that there were specifically 2 other people that wanted to come to the program, but their school district wouldn't let them because they heard that this vote was happening tonight and they didn't want to wait too long. We also have a program that I'm not sure whether or not you're aware of, where a number of the students were going to teach some students at the Center for Hope. They're all Ambridge elementary school students. I know Ken received an email from the woman who runs the Center for Hope and was saying that she was very disappointed because Ken had already come and spoke with them. There are a number of kids and their families that were very excited because this is something they would do after school to keep them headed in the right direction. You get these kids interested in these programs in elementary school, then when the opportunity comes to them that they can speak and be involved in the program come middle school, you've got them from middle school to high school. But you can't expect it to work perfectly if you're only going to give it a couple years. I appreciate you allowing me to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shelby Walsh, and I have been in the dance program for the past 2 years. The year before I joined the program, I began to question whether or not I'd be able to actually make it in the professional dance world. I started to tell myself that maybe my dream wasn't meant to become reality. But then I met Ken. Within my first few classes with him, I found my love for dance again, and all my self-doubt was erased from my mind. Without this program, I would not be half the person I am today, both in and outside of dance. Not only has my dancing dramatically improved, but I have become a more hardworking, determined, and confident person because of it. I've had the opportunity to meet people who have made their way through and are currently navigating through the professional dance world, and had people come to see me perform from all of Ken's connections that studios just don't offer kids. Not to mention that I, as well as a senior here at Ambridge, have already gotten my senior project approved, which basically requires us to be in the program for another year. Of course, I could do a different project, but to do that, the whole entire process needs to start over again. I would need to think of a new idea and wait for it to be approved before I could continue working on it, whereas now I can just keep working on the project that's already been approved. I cannot begin to emphasize how much this program has changed my life for the better, and I would hope that you as a school board would take into consideration all those who are benefiting from the program, including not only the dancers and their families, but the students here in Ambridge's stage crew, the kids from other school districts who come to perform with us, the middle schoolers who are going to join this program next year, as well as the school in general. It has gotten plenty of publicity with numerous newspaper articles and Facebook posts about the program. Plus, this program allows the school to offer courses that prepare students who want to be dancers which is what very few public schools do. I've had many friends and family members come up to me after performances and say how amazing it is that a school district is acknowledging that there are students who want to pursue a career in something other than a STEM field. I just wish that you as a school board think about how many people will feel the consequences if you remove this program beyond just the dancers that are enrolled. Thank you.
My name is Kaley Gisborne. I graduated from the program last year. I took college classes, and I'm trying to further my education and my dance degree, and I cannot do that if you cancel the program. I cannot take classes without Ken being a part of this program. I taught 8 kids last year for my senior project. My senior project was a production I put on. I taught them 2 dances, and this is one of the mothers that couldn't come, and she would like me to read this letter on her behalf. I apologize that I could not be here tonight due to the prior obligations. I would like to take this opportunity to show my support for the performing arts program within our school district. It was the best kept secret in our area. I stumbled across the annual Nutcracker performance from an outside source. I was amazed at the quality of the performance. It was outstanding. I could have passed for a professional show. The talent we had within our district is incredible. Since then, my 6th grade daughter, who was given the opportunity to participate in the senior dance program this past year. The bond that girls of all ages form is amazing. It was like nothing she has ever experienced in her 9 years of dancing outside the school district. It made me feel proud to be part of the school district. I feel so sure that if more people were aware of the dance program, it would benefit our school financially. The majority of the children who we lose to other charter schools, performing arts schools, are the most likely not even aware that our program exists. In addition, the performances we are capable of doing could not bring much needed income into our district. A few simple advertisements, flyers to prove that we have a program could boost the enrollment significantly. Please consider extending the program for others and experience as well.
Felicia Masek, I'm from Harmony Township. I've had children in the school district for about 13 years. I have 4 kids. And over the years, I've heard people say that their child got off at the wrong stop, but they made it, they walked home, and it was okay. Over the past, out of my 4 children, 2 of them were put on the wrong bus and was found by strangers when they were 5 years old. One time I was working in the city, I got a call from a stranger who said, "I have your child." The school did not call me the school never did call me. The bus company called me. I went to the school the next day, I spoke with the principal and also the teacher. Fast forward to my next kindergartner, she was fine. The next one after that, same thing happened. Teacher put her on the wrong bus. She was found by a stranger. At that time, I was working in Moon Township, so I got a call, a Facebook message saying, "I have your child." Another stranger found my child because my child was put on the wrong bus. So this time, I spoke with the principal, the teacher, and added the superintendent. I went to the school. I'm not a person that calls all the news stations and the papers to say, "Hey, guess what, fix this." But now I have another kindergartner. I went to a great kindergarten orientation. From all these past years, it's like they nailed it. It was great. However, the bus company stood up there and spoke again, and the thing they said was, "We never let a kindergartner off the bus without a parent there." I live in a predominantly white neighborhood. I can tell you I am the only black person that lives on my street, at least the street below and the street above. My children vary in shades of brown, but The bus driver didn't recognize that there wasn't anybody there. My husband, he's a lighter shade, but he never picks them up, and he's never picked them up from the bus stop. So the bus driver let my kindergartner off the bus. I don't understand how the superintendent told me that things were going to be changed. I spoke with the principal. I did all my due diligence, and then I hear the same bus company come and talk to all these parents, saying, we never let them off the bus. Rest assured, we take care of your children. We're okay. I'm not okay with it. I'm at the point now that I have to come to the school board to say, guess what? This is a problem. I'm happy to see that you have all these bus aides. Were they in place before? Because my kindergartner got off the bus and walked around a neighborhood that she wasn't familiar with. A person picked her up and she knew her phone number. That's how she called me. That's how they know me. The teacher didn't even bother to tell me that she went and grabbed my kid and took her to where she was supposed to be at.
Excuse me.
So,
your time's up, but
really?
at the end of the meeting, would you please see the superintendent, give him your name and telephone number? To
I already emailed the superintendent, the principal, and
okay.
the bus company.
We will discuss this and get down to it and get back to you, okay?
Okay. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. President, one of the things I think we do need to discuss is what the protocol is with the administration and communicate that, and then maybe have a separate meeting, Dr. D'Ampirio, with the bus company. Certainly there has to be a different protocol for elementary, middle, and senior high school.
I did see Felicia's email earlier today. Brian Miller and I met about it. He's going to address the bus company with it, and we are going to develop that protocol and just make sure that that promise that was mentioned to parents today is fulfilled.
Excuse me, may I say one more thing, and it's something positive about the principal. The principal did reply to me, and he told me that he was personally going to talk to all the elementary students, and it's something simple. It's just telling the student not to get off the bus if they don't see their person. You know, I hate the fact that I was blamed, or my child was blamed that, you know, why she got off the bus. I hate that that was put on me, but I expect my school district to help me out here. And I hate the fact that the bus company blamed you. And you guys blamed my child, not you personally, but that's what happened. So I thank you for replying to my email to State Street Elementary principal. I truly appreciate that. And thank you for answering a little bit more. And thank you, Mr. President, for giving me a couple more seconds.
Thank you.
Hi, Christina Priola, Harmony Township. I have a child in Economy Elementary. He's was a great experience for him this past 6 months. However, the bus experience was less than ideal. And when I say less than ideal, the bus was late almost every single day. And late to the point that it was sometimes 30 minutes late in picking him up. Now, the kids that are taken from my house in Harmony Township to Economy Elementary come from Ambridge, and a lot of them are on free lunch. And I mean, did they get their lunch? I don't know. They're coming, that's a ridiculous amount of time to be late to school because of the buses. He didn't have the same bus aid. They needed a bus aid. Are we gonna do anything if Rhodes doesn't hold up their end of the bargain? One time my kid was 45 minutes late because the bus didn't know, the bus driver didn't know his route and was asking elementary age students who are in special education to find their way home from Economy Elementary to Ambridge and Harmony Township. That's ridiculous. Not only did the bus company not notify the school district, they didn't notify the parents. I, working here at the high school, saw Mrs. Galitzis, who was doing night school, had to tell her she was furious. She contacted the bus company and said, why aren't you letting us know so we can let parents know what's going on? The Secretary of Economy came in the next day and had a ton of phone calls from parents who were concerned about their children being 45 minutes late. That's unacceptable from this bus company. And I didn't get up and at the, you know, when you guys approved this at that board meeting in June. But honest to goodness, I get that you want to save us tax dollars. However, please don't do this to my child. It's a very frustrating thing when these kids have goals that they have to meet on that bus as part of their educational program. And that can't be met if there's a different bus driver every day, if things are different every day. Half the time it was a different bus. Sometimes it was a van, sometimes it was a bus, sometimes it was a large bus. it was a mystery what was coming and when they were coming and when your child was being dropped off. That's a little bit ridiculous. I just want to know if the school's going to do anything to ensure that the buses run on time, because Brian couldn't get them to do it last year, and I talked to him continually about this situation in my son's bus, because my husband has to take off time, has to block off time out of his workday because he works from home in order to walk my son to our bus stop. And he's waiting 35, 45 minutes till the bus is picked up. So I just want to know if you guys are going to do anything to ensure that roads actually holds up their end of the bargain, or am I going to have a miserable school year with this bus company again? Thanks.
My name's Amanda Gisborne. My daughter Kaley spoke earlier. I'm here about the performance arts program. My daughter graduated last year. She was in the performing arts for 2.5, 3 years. She's bloomed during that program. She did her senior show here last year. She raised $584 for the performing arts program. There was a couple other seniors, but she did tons of work. She even had Shelby help her, which was great. Brought in the junior high kids, did all the auditions, everything. I think that I helped with Nutcracker. It's my understanding that Ken Nickel goes ahead and borrows sets, borrows costumes from people that he knows. I personally worked on those costumes. I put in my own money to pay to fix those costumes to make it look good for everyone. He took it out of his pocket to reimburse me a couple $100. Not the school, but he did, to make sure that the costumes looked good. I know personally from him, I know he puts in from auditions to sets to everything else between 150 to 180 of non-paid hours. He's only a part-time worker, but he puts in all this time for these kids to do this. He goes ahead, it's just like, sorry, I'm getting upset, but maybe for the musical, I know they've had to do some classes for their dance and whatnot. I believe they go outside of the school. Why don't you have them do that in this performing arts? They go out 2 days a week. Why don't you include that here? So they can go ahead and you include them in this program and make it a school-wide thing instead of taking it outside. And why don't you guys advertise? Everyone here behind me that's here for the performing arts, we know about it by mouth. Word of mouth, Facebook, Instagram, everything like that, it's all by word of mouth. If you guys would go ahead and promote such an excellent program for these kids that would want to do something with their life, have fun, it's great exercise, good self-confidence, good building, that they would go ahead and you could expand this. I don't think you guys have taken the opportunity to do this program to its fulfill, to what it can be. I think you guys are kind of cutting it off of the legs and trying to be done with it, and I don't think that's the correct thing to do.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Marcie Buttinsky. I'm from Economy Borough. My daughter is going to be going into 7th grade this year and is enrolled in the Performing Arts Academy for the dance program. And it's just a shame if you guys get rid of this program. She will be crushed. I heard about it through word of mouth as well. Last year a flyer came out. I happened to be on the copy committee at the elementary school and just happened to notice it. A little blurb about it. It really needs to be advertised better. You have such a wonderful teacher in Ken Nickel. I've known him for a year now because Molly has been involved in the Christmas show and in the senior projects. And everywhere I go, my daughter dances for her studio. Everywhere I go, people know this man. I mean, I went to get point shoes fitted for her, and the owner of the jazz store said, "Oh, I know just how Ken Nickel wants his girls to wear his shoes." I mean, he's known everywhere. He just needs to be promoted. I think if we get a little bit more word out, it will really flourish. And it would just be such a shame to see it. And Ken also is so great with the students. I don't know if you all have ever seen him interact with his kids, but he knows them all personally. He knows their strengths, their weaknesses. You know, my daughter coming into the program, he said to me already, oh, I have a game plan for her. Molly has ADHD. So going into this is a great outlet for her. After sitting in a classroom all morning, she gets to look forward to, now I get to let out some steam. And, you know, it does, you know, your former students here and your enrolled students are a testament to that. The Nutcracker is phenomenal. I mean, I would rather come here than go downtown to the Benedum to see it. I mean, it's just beautiful. And Ken does put it, I couldn't believe when I heard he was a part-time teacher here. He puts in hours upon hours and his own money to make this program work. So just please give it a chance, a little more. And I myself will do anything I can as far as advertising. I'm out in the dance community as well.
30 seconds.
That was all. Just please consider the students that are enrolled and the students coming in. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Sue Gondringer. This is my daughter, Sydney. We're from Seneca Valley. Sydney would love to attend this dance program for the performing arts. Unfortunately, Seneca Valley has said no the last 2 years, but we have tried numerous times to get her here. Seneca does offer a similar program, but the differences in what was offered here and what was offered at Seneca is completely different. So much so that we wanted to pull her and have her dance here for half day, and then we were going to transport her ourselves. The Performing Arts Academy is an outstanding dance education that focuses on individual needs and strengths while offering numerous performance opportunities. When Sydney danced with the program at the Dance Intensive and the Nutcracker, she learned much more than dance. She was able to work extensively on her technique and terminology. She was about a professional performance, danced for university faculty, gained some real-world experience, and cemented her desire to be a dancer. Add to that the fact that students in the program have the chance to earn an associate's degree in dance, and you really do have just a phenomenal program here. When you have a dancer, these are all considerations we have to keep in our minds as parents for their education. For students that are enrolled, I know that they realize how lucky they are to have the program and to have Ken. You have to understand that this program can and will pull from your district, including building the 7th and 8th grade program. It will also pull from outside your district. For the board to wait so long this summer to make this decision really affects how you can recruit and retain students internally and externally if they're not guaranteed that there will be a program to attend. You would affect these dancers and their scholastic and dance education, and it would be a huge disservice to the district, to the dancers, and to the community to not allow this program to continue. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ann Cordis. This is my daughter, Grace Cordis. We are from Darlington Township. We also are interested in the performing arts program. We currently are not enrolled, though we wish to enroll her. We are willing to pay cash. I'll be brief. I think you've heard enough of how wonderful everything is and what it's doing for the students that are currently enrolled and the ones that wish to enroll. Make the commitment. Make it for longer than a semester, please. Make it for longer than a year. I assure you, there are people like us way out there that through word of mouth have heard this, and we're willing to pay cash to bring our children here and transport them. And we're talking, this is like a drive to Pittsburgh for us. I mean, we're talking 45 good minutes of drive time. Ken is exceptional. What he's teaching is exceptional. We're adding this to her academics. I don't know what else to tell you other than the diamond in the rough scenario. Yes, you got something going on here. Beaver County's growth, you know, is going to improve. We have a lot going on with the cracker plant. There's going to be a lot more employment. School districts around the area are going to improve enrollment in the next 5 years to come. Give it a chance. Make a commitment, because that's really what parents like us are looking for. I have a 4th grader who desperately wants to be here too. I would pay cash for her and drive her as well, but the commitment on your part is not there. I'm willing to do this for Grace at this point because she's entering in a pre-professional time in her life. This is where she's headed, this is where she's going. If you're only here for a semester, I'm paying for that because that's the experience she's getting for her resume. Ken, and everything that he is and everything that he's done. Worth it. Worthwhile investment. You don't know what you got. Thank you.
My name is Anthony Seelinger. I've been working with the dance program now for about a year and a half. This past year, I had enrolled in the stage crew for the high school, doing all the lights and stuff here. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that a true performance doesn't come from doing the chorus concerts and stuff that come in here. I've got more professional experience working hands-on with Nutcracker, working hands-on with the senior show that was done here, meeting different people that Mr. Nickel knows, all the different assets that he has. It's allowed not just the dancers in the program, but the stage crew to get a better experience. Coming in and throwing the risers up on stage, doing very basic stuff, doesn't get the true stage crew taste. Coming in, learning everything that there is to know about these lights, everything that there is to know about moving props, everything that there is to know about putting on a technical side of the show, as compared to coming in here, turning lights on and playing music for people. There's a complete difference in what the dance program has to offer, not just for the dancers, but if you take that away, you're also going to hurt the stage crew. What we get to do, aside from helping with the dance program, is nothing comparatively in educational opportunities and stuff like that, and provides true hands-on experience. I personally want to, whenever I get out of high school, go into the technical theater world. Without what I've done here with the dance program on the stage crew side, I would have never had that interest. It's a phenomenal thing. Thank you.
Hello, Lauren Mawhinney, Economy Township. I was just wondering if I could have clarification on number 15 under the finance report on the $100 for supplies for teachers. You had said that's contingent upon an agreement. Could I just have some clarification on that with the Teaching Association? And also, under the athletics, can I have clarification on the amendment for the volunteer coaches that was discussed at the very beginning?
I'll take the first one. At this point, it's a proposal. They're just authorizing the administration to approach the association to see if we can work something out. There's not really any more detail we can provide at this point.
Okay.
Except that we will approach the association about that proposal.
Okay. And then the coach,
Mr. Keeper, you want to address that?
It was just the first one that you guys talked about, and it kind of went really fast. I just wanted to have
the athletic director one you're talking about?
Where I believe it was the athletic director.
Yeah. The motion would allow Brian Miller, the athletic director, to stand in as a coach if there were a vacancy or if for some reason a coach were going to be unable to perform their coaching duties. And similarly, it authorizes the athletic director to identify a volunteer who has their clearances. You know, anytime you have direct contact with children, you have to have clearances in Pennsylvania. So if there's an individual who maybe is a parent or a volunteer coach, he has the authority to appoint them as a head coach for athletic competitions.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name's Casey. I'm from Economy Borough, and I probably am not going to make the people that have spoke before me very happy. I am a very huge supporter of the arts, as a lot of you know, but it is a numbers game, and I have had business classes, accounting classes, canceled due to numbers. Therefore, it's a numbers game, and business and accounting and how to balance a checkbook, I think, is a little bit more important than arts, personally, because you need it no matter what aspect in life you work. Thank you.
Excuse me, but time's up. You can come at the end of the meeting and address, get up here. Our half hour's up.
Mr. Coe, I was going to make a few comments, if I may.
Go ahead.
I want to make a few comments about the Dance Academy and to try, in some sense, to at least what I believe set the record straight. First of all, myself personally and the board, we've all been very supportive of the Dance Academy. Actually, the classes are right near my office. I know Mr. Nichols extremely well. And it truly is the fact that it seems from day one, the number of student participants in the dance program is really never materialized, and that has been the issue. I've had Ms. Zubsik, Mr. Boer, I've had Mr. King, I've worked with Ken Nichols personally, and I know there was a lot of talk this evening about improving the numbers, but truly in terms of hardcore people signing up, that hasn't occurred. In addition to that, we really waited, and I'll take the responsibility for that, to make a recommendation about the Dance Academy because we were hoping to bring it along. I personally made arrangements with the Beaver County superintendents to have Ken make a presentation there about encouraging youngsters in their district who had an interest in the arts and an interest in dance. Went with them. We prepared a packet for each of the school districts in the county, and still the numbers, as we anticipated, did not materialize. So I kind of want to begin. Yes, it is a sad thing. It's nothing I think that any of us wanted to do, but we've been trying, from my understanding, since the inception of the dance program to increase the numbers, and we haven't been able to do it. And so that's where and why we arrived at the recommendation that we're making this evening for the dance program. And it is for the year. It's not permanently. It doesn't mean that it never can come back.
Brings us to the committee reports. Education and Technology, Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll make a motion this evening accepting items 1 through 10.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, may we discuss item 4?
Go ahead.
There's been a lot of discussion about support for the Dance Academy. There is some validity to the need that that program be seeded over time, that 2 years is not an adequate point. The contrary opinion to that is, if indeed there's such interest in the Dance Academy and the quality of Mr. Nichols, which I believe everybody seems to share, and there was no discussion on canceling the program until 10 days ago, it seemed that there would have been ample opportunity for a great deal of enrollment to occur, and I think that's really the struggle. There have been a number of emails that have come to myself and to other board members. The critical mass of 10 actually came from me. It was only a suggestion. It wasn't a suggestion that the Dance Academy have 10. The comparison was, in an academic environment, in a traditional education environment, what a critical number of students would be to continue a program, be it woodshop, be it Calculus 3, whatever that might be. And the district came back and said, typically we would look to a student participation number of 10 students, which tends to support the time and effort of the curriculum and the costs associated with the instructor. So while I've heard discussions about budget, and because I happen to be on the finance side, my explanation to several of the people really was, while yes, there is a budget concern, the greater concern was enrollment. There was no discussion by the district of canceling this academy in May of last year, or May of this year. And based on the quality of the instructor, and it appears the support of the graduates as well as those participants, you would expect that enrollment would at least support some deferral or deferment of the cost associated with that program. And right now the enrollment is, as I understand it, 2 individuals from the school district and 3 individuals from outside of the school district. So I think the basic question that the board needs to answer, in fairness to the number of people that spoke, and unfortunately, I'm not sure why, but you don't get to respond to somebody in the public session in terms of what they've asked. You have to wait for the agenda to come forth. Is it worthwhile to sponsor this dance academy for 24 months under the auspice that indeed it is a seed program that requires some financial support during its development? There are probably $25,000 of invested hard costs in the program, I would gather, that have been used less than 4 semesters. So I am asking for some public dialogue from the board as to thoughts as to sponsoring the program, potentially with some caveat on enrollment in the following year falling below some minimum, which basically then would preclude all the discussions that we have heard. If you have 5 people enrolled this year and saying that the district has a 2-year commitment and you have 5 or less people next year, in spite of everybody's best intention, there is no community support within the Beaver County school districts for such a program, regardless of the quality of the instructor, which to everyone I've heard, evidently Mr. Nichols is an outstanding instructor and well connected in the arts community. So my question to the board, because of the number of people that have spoken, is it worthwhile to potentially understand that this program is going to cost some dollars in 2016-17 and potentially 17-18, because I understand the need for a commitment. You don't want to send your child here for a program that may only be viable for 1 year, because it is of value and a hidden gem within the community and the school districts of Beaver County. So I ask only for some dialogue.
Mr. Sass, I would like to have that dialogue too. Obviously, people feel very strongly about this, and I've heard nothing but good things about Mr. Nichols. So this is not anything against Mr. Nichols and or the program. Like I said last week, I had a daughter that danced for 19 years. However, this program is costing us approximately $12,000 to $15,000 per student, which is really a lot of money for a dance education. Not that I want to slight that, but that's a lot of money, and I do not feel that we can support that at this time. We also have a musical that is virtually self-funded that runs anywhere between 50 and 80 students and costs about $28,000 to $35,000, but only gets the support of the district for about $5,000. We need to look at the programs and make some tough decisions. And I'm sad about this too, but we have a fiduciary responsibility.
Any other comments?
I'd like to make a quick comment too. We did get to the same point again. Sorry. We did last year get to this same point, and we had a conversation with Ken that we give him 1 more year at that point to bring the numbers up, and that was last summer, and the numbers haven't gone up. So he was well aware all along that if the numbers didn't go up, that the program probably wouldn't go forward another year. And unfortunately, while I'm a very big supporter of music, dance, and everything of that nature, the money that we're expending on that program has many other uses in this district. And since he did know a year in advance that if we didn't have the enrollment, we would probably do away with the program, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say I have to see the program go away.
Weren't there some alternative suggestions to funding this program over the last couple of weeks?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, weren't there some alternative suggestions to funding this program over the last couple of weeks?
I'm not sure what you mean
I thought
by
Mr.
alternatives,
Nichols.
but we did talk about turning it into a club program at the various school levels and retaining Mr. Cook to do that. And that was about the only one that was the only one that I recall that we talked about.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Keeper?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes on items 1 through 10, no on number 4.
Mr. Cowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Locker?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
We have 1 no on item 4. Motion carries.
Finance and budget, Mr. Sass.
Mr. President, items 1 through 16 to discuss and approve. I wish to only clarify item number 8, which is the second progress building of the junior high capital project for the HVAC system and renovations, along with item 12, which is the acceptance of a commitment letter related to a tax revenue anticipation note, commonly referred to as a TAN or a TRAN. This is for potential borrowings of up to $2.4 million collateralized by local tax revenues. It must be repaid after 1 year. It is a demand TRAN, which in simple terms means it does not need to be borrowed upon. There is an initial requirement to borrow, I think, $50,000 against it to make it active. That $50,000 may be repaid the next day. It is basically a financing backstop if there are problems associated with PA basic subsidy. It's like a line of credit.
Can I have a second?
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Keeper?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes on items 1 through 16, no on number 12.
Mr. Cowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Locker?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
We have 1 no on item 12. Motion carries.
Buildings and grounds, Mr. Keever.
Yes, I'd like a motion to adopt item number 1 as amended under buildings and grounds.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Keeper?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
I'm going to vote yes, but I have a question. Is this going to be done before the start of school?
Mr. Matsey?
Yeah, that's the goal. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Locker?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Unanimous, motion carries.
I do have one other point of information. If I'd like to call Mr. Matsey up to the microphone, just so he can give us an update on our junior high project and also some of the other things that the district has been doing over the summer to prepare for students' return.
First item here is the junior high. We're a little ahead of schedule up there. Just some items that most of the work you don't see involving this project. But the main piping for this system is about 98% complete. The classroom hallway units are here. They're starting to be placed. The insulator is about 95% complete in areas. We are running some other areas of piping that's 95%. We are in the boiler room right now getting ready to set the new boilers and the equipment in the boiler room. We're waiting for some other main pieces here. The switchgear is scheduled to arrive this week. The chiller pad has been poured, and we are waiting the chiller. It could be here as early as Friday. That's some of the updates. Some upcoming events up there. There are some bookcases that are going to be placed in the classrooms by the ventilators to hide the piping. Continue with the piping insulation. And we are in the process of getting all clearances for anybody working there once the school year starts. We will have those in place well ahead of time before school starts, and they will be sent to us. Some milestones that we have in place. We have orientation going to be there on the 25th of this month. It's going to be in the auditorium and down through one of the hallways. That'll all be cleared and safe. We have the heating part of the system is scheduled for October 15th. That is still in place. And right now, everything looks like we're going to hit the schedules. Other items we're doing up at the school is in-house, which I call, is we're painting the classrooms. We have about 32 classrooms painted. We've been working with the principal in some areas of concern with teachers coming in and getting rid of some things that, there's a lot of clutter, and they're getting rid of that. And one of the last things we're doing over the summer, a big thing is we are down here by the field house, we're turning that into a area of not construction landscape in-house. So hopefully by the next meeting you'll see some grass and trees, and the sidewalks won't be a safety issue.
One question, you telling me we painted 32 rooms up there?
Yes, we have.
Our own people?
Yes.
Very good. I've never heard of that since I've been around. So that's an accomplishment. Thank you.
Mr. Masek, could you speak to the junior high schedule? We delayed the start of school basically to assure that the ceilings and walls were buttoned up simply in the junior high.
Yes.
The heating is scheduled for October 15th, and based on the 98% of piping, in very simple terms, all the piping goes up through the ceilings and then come down into new air handlings, what you'd refer to as big registers in each classroom, and all that is placed at this point. So the project duration is for substantial completion by, I believe, January 31st, but most of what I saw in the project timeline relates to work that is outside of the instructional areas. It would be controls, placement of the air handlers, the electrical vault, et cetera, associated with equipment. Could you speak to the timeline in terms of how it might or might not impact the instructional side of that building?
The timeline I have is to end at the end of March because of prior to me being here, the delay in giving them the okay to start the project. What I've seen is they were supposed to get a March date and they ended up getting a June date. So the time frame still stands in place. It just moved back that many months to make the schedule fit.
But will the construction as it relates to January through March, is it anticipated to have significant impact upon the instructional side of the building?
The students will not get impacted with it at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Athletics, Mr. Kieber.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt item number 1 under athletics.
Second.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Keeper?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mr. Colwell?
Yes.
Mrs. Locker?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Unanimous, motion carries.
Public Relations, Mrs. Mylan.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Steering and Rules, Mrs. Fisher.
No voting items this evening, Mr. President.
Legislative, Mrs. Keough.
Nothing this evening.
Salary Schedule Relations, Mrs. Locker.
Mr. President, I have no items to vote upon, but I do have one item that I'd like to bring to the public's attention regarding the Ambridge Area School District and the Ambridge Educational Association. Through the Solicitor's Office, the district has provided the association with dates in August and September when it's available for additional negotiations. The parties are scheduled for their next meeting to happen on September 13th, 2016. At the most recent negotiation session on July 12th, 2016, the association requested certain information from the district and indicated that the negotiations could not proceed until that information was received. The district has provided that information after gathering the majority of it from third parties. The district looks forward to further progress towards the contract that is both fair and equitable to the taxpayers and the professional employees.
Personnel, Mr. Angus.
Yes, Mr. President, I move for the adoption of items 1 through 19 as amended.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Keeper?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes on items 1 through 19, no on number 10.
Mr. Colwell?
Yes.
Mrs. Locker?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
We have 1 no on item 10. Motion carries.
Solicitor's report.
I have nothing to report.
Superintendent's report.
Just briefly, Mr. President, that the entire staff is working very hard, and by the entire staff, I mean everyone, to prepare for the opening of school this year on September the 6th. Thank you.
Time for old and new business. It is now time for old and new business. Anyone from the public who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Please state your name and where you live. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once.
Mike Andrews, Economy Borough. Question for Mr. King. Is your presentation going to be posted online?
I can't hear you.
Is your presentation going to be posted online? Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it.